Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. Game 3, Game 2, Game 3 minus 2. I don't know what's going on. Long day. Wheel versus VGJ.Storm. VGJ up 1-0. Hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday. VGJ certainly queuing a bit of a comeback in the previous affair, as they were down rather considerably. 22 minutes in, actually, Iraq's eliminated from their base. Really nice combinations from Fleet and Snaking, keeping them in the game as far as their silences go on some key heroes. That being the Omni Knight and Disruptor for Wheel's side, and they will be bested in that first game.
Earth Spirit.
All right, so with first pick, Wheel going to take away, kind of deny the Francis Lee Earth Spirit, as well as banning out the Stand King IO. So we're going to kind of deny the comfort that VGJ.Storm were able to assemble in the previous game. Snaking going to opt for the first pick Tiny alongside the Bane. So two very highly regarded heroes as far as, the lanes go, as well as just the recent meta. With the cleave, Tiny actually a pretty damn good laner. Able to kind of shove the wave out, harass his enemy. And of course, having the stun should render you rather survivable in general.
Vengeful spirit.
Wheel going to pick themselves up Avenge. So, this could of course be flex to a 1 position, but no great lane support per se, as far as, zoning and harass goes. Vengeful Spirit rather feeble attack range early on. Does of course have the stun to provide, and Earth Spirit has a great toolkit, but doesn't necessarily want to hang around in lane statically in the early game, so we'll see how they opt to lane this when all is said and done. CK banned by Wheel, PL banned as well, considering themselves rather single target heavy at this point.
I speak for the trees.
All right, so we kind of talked about the theme of the lanes with these first couple of picks in Tiny and Bane. Nature's Prophet certainly continuing that trend here for VGJ. Snaking will probably be the one to pick up the Prophet. And Witch Doctor is the response from Wheel. So we do have a core Venge, more than likely, for their side. And this is more of the kind of stable laning support that we identified them as missing in the first two. All right, Gyro for Yawar here, more than likely, and VGJ.Storm. Going to be very difficult to deal with in the early going. A lot of strong laners here. Bane, Gyro, in and of themselves, a pretty scary task to fill for any offlaner. A lot of damage available to them in the early game, and Tiny can now kind of provide that bit of siege that otherwise this lineup may have lacked patches ago. Of course, they do have the Nature's Prophet. Gyro can flak off the tower, clear waves in that manner. They do feel slightly disabled light, the VGJ.Storm side, but certainly can kind of rectify that shortcoming in their 5th pick. We'll have a ton of disable. Not much wave clear at the moment, though. So wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Sand King or a Lena. Sand King is actually banned.
Tide Hunter.
We'll pick up the Tide for now. He's kind of one way to deal with a large amount of units from the Nature's Prophet and kind of tank those up. Jump forward, clear the wave. Fiend's Grip is a decent way to deal with the Tide, as is the Nightmare, and just kind of ignore him. But other than that, really like how the hero's been utilized recently as sort of this frontline tank. You know, like a Necrophos or a Timbersaw in lane. Can't leave your safe laner alone, especially if it's a... well, it'll be a Gyro in this case, so perhaps you could leave it alone against the Tide. So still looking more than likely for Sand King's hero here as they ban out the Death Prophet. A lot of control, silence, you know, the Nether Swap, the Voodoo Restoration, the Ravage. So a lot of things to kind of enable a Death Prophet here. And they do pick up the Templar Assassin. So this was, you know, something that I also contemplated when I mentioned the Lena as far as wave clear goes. Figured with, you know, Prophet, Gyro having a lot of kind of ticks of damage, even though they're not damage over time, that they might forego this pick. But it feels for the most part, you know, these Tide and Templar Assassin can kind of push out waves feeling rather safe, considering the heroes that they should have behind them. And VGJ.Storm, they're just going to go directly for the 7/4/7 Venomancer, which is going to mean Flea is actually in the 4 position Nature's Prophet. So a very interesting kind of diversion at the end of this draft coming out from Snake King, but just a direct counter to YJS's TA. Now, maybe something to mention. I mean, Kraken Shell can purge Gale now, but I still doubt that they end up putting this Tide Hunter mid. Just feels way too dicey for the Venge or TA to be in the offlane. So VGJ.Storm looking for the 2-0 sweep of Wheel. Wheel looking to take this to a Game 3 decider. And 5th pick, 7/4/7 Venomancer. Also helps facilitate the push as well. I mean, you've got your Plague Wards, you've got your Treants, and you've got the Tiny, who can now do a ton of building damage even early into the game. So, Game 2, guys, the Galaxy Battles 2. This is a major qualifier. And in this Group B, these two teams looking for an opportunity to make it to the finals. Beyond these finals, Complexity Gaming awaits them in Stage 2. You can check out kind of the format on Liquipedia. It's a little bit of a unusual one with the 2 stages. But basically, Optic and Complexity were direct invites. They await Stage 2. You know, these 4 teams are in a double elim in Stage 1 to make it through to that second stage. 2 groups of 4 teams, that is. Kale salad indeed. Make sure to boil your kale, boys and girls. As oxalic acid, not good for you. I know he meant kale, but, you know, there was no space. No space between ka and le. Don't click that link, boys. It's bait. So Flea gonna opt for the first item, Blightstone, to do a little bit of trading. This should be a fun early game with the Prophet in the 4. Snake King gonna pick up the Tiny, and we'll have Bane accompany him for the early going, and Yawar will be on the Gyrocopter. Smoke movement down from Wheel's side. QM gonna lead the way. Safe lane, Vengeful Spirit. Picks up the Circlet. Kind of like me, maybe. I mean, he could just use this towards Aquila. It's fine. I was gonna say last game I think I saw Perseverance Ultimate Orb when it was Perseverance Soul Booster. Who knows? I'll go back and check the replay, but the old magic stick. Now afforded by a mango. Magic wand, I should say. Why just back to block his lane as the remainder of his lineup looking to find first blood. Bottom doesn't look like anyone will bite the bait from VGJ.Storm's side, but they will forfeit over this bottom side boundary rune. Still, though, they'll get 2 top lane.
What have we here?
So sort of a standard trade when all is said and done. And Snake King for now will be the one in the bottom lane. Looks like an aggressive tri-lane consisting of the Venge, Witch Doctor, and Moose's Earth Spirit. Snake King going to play rather safe. And look at this range, this melee range early on. What a hero, boys and girls. Doesn't get Magic Missiled up. Rolling Boulder will find Snake King as well. And they'll throw the Casket. It'll only bounce once, of course, and Flea with the Blightstone actually doing tons of damage to Derp. Snake King forced to salve up, but the Nature's Prophet rotations in are going to ensure that they don't tower dive for this Tiny. And the Cleave just doing work for him. Meanwhile, top lane, Stand King as well as Yawar teaming up to pressure the Tidehunter. But he will be able to salve on the wayward side of that fight. Thinking picks up his level 2. Meanwhile, true 1v1 in the mid lane. Ryoya 747 versus YJS. And in fact, YJS getting the better of him early on. But as 747 begins to level, you would expect he should have fun in this lane. Homing Missile going to fly out top lane, and nice body blocks from Yawar as well. They need another Rocket Barrage, though, and don't have it. And with the Anchor Smash, I don't know that... Oh, there's the Rocket Barrage. They will have it now. Still, though, with the damage reduction, they don't get the kill on the Tidehunter. And in the meantime, Flea's Nature's Prophet taking out bot lane. So first blood going to go the way of Wheel here. A couple minutes in, and they'll pick up a couple of bounty runes bottom lane as well.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Flea holding a skill point here at level 2. Can just kind of run at you and sprout you, I guess. Bottom lane looking to pincer in Snake King. Magic Missile will fly out. Rolling Boulder is there once again with the slow. Nice toss back onto the Earth Spirit. Cask will bounce only once onto Snake King, and the Avalanche will keep him safe. Pick himself up a tree and tango another and get to work. Meanwhile, Flea in the mid lane, and this is kind of what we were talking about as levels come through. Poison Sting level 2 now for 747. And this noob observer will get a bare glimpse of that return kill from VGJ.Storm's side.
Stop it.
Ours.
And now CS more or less at parity in this mid lane.
not.
Smoke up, Moose, and Derp. Gonna look to get to work as 747 trying to widen the gap in this mid lane, trying to gain an advantage, and they're gonna look to address that issue. 747 a little far forward, has a salve. Derp level 1 cask, and he is actually gonna pop the salve here. So cask gonna fly out. Rolling boulder will be there as well, and with the boulder smash, Gale should not save him. Maledict was down as well. Derp will drop a ward in the mid lane, and they'll get VGJ.S a revenge kill as he picks up the last hit on 747. They've moved QM to the top lane now, feeling perhaps as if they've accomplished their mission bottom against snaking. And responsively, VGJ.Storm will flex their lanes. Now, perhaps in a bit of trouble is Moose. I mean, he's got to roll away, though.
Double damage.
Snaking. Making his way up to top. And Rua scouted mid with this high ground ward. But Stan King with a DD. Thinking about going in bottom on this Tidehunter. Can just start to trade with him. Gets anchor smashed up, however. And we'll continue to right click away. Homing missile coming through. He's got a brain sap. It's only level 1, but with that double damage, this should be a kill. Flat cannon coming through, and the homing missile finishes off the Tide. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they do get Rioya, and they might get Flea as well. Rioya does bling down the Earth Spirit with some ticks, but why just killing him off again on the Templar Assassin? And cheeky is Flea here. Nope. Well, that's not what we want to happen to your treants. Nice last hit there. Overall, feels like Wheeler pretty happy with how the mid lanes ended up going, considering the matchup on paper. Snaking, though, finding his levels on the Tidehunter is level 5. And only 1 core on the Dire side. Can say that at the moment, although QM should find this is relatively soon. So Derp rotating in, and again, looking to set up on Snaking here. Gonna throw out the tree, but gets cast, and Magic Missile. They'll have a roll as well. Boulder smashes there. He gets the Avalanche off. Maledict should kill him no matter what, but they won't even need it. Meanwhile, mid lane, maybe looking to go in on the TA was Stan King, but he could be in trouble now. Has stick charges and is a Bane, so should be killed off, at least not solo, by the Earth Spirit. But Moose will chase him. Get out of my lawn! Now out of the mid lane. And TPing into that mid lane is Snaking. Now with Flea, they'll try and body block up VGJ.S. Won't be that easy to do, however. And one of the treants going to end up dropping there to the side blades. Sonic Trap going to be thrown down in the trees. No building trades found anywhere, but I mean, VGJ.Storm, they haven't necessarily made anything happen with this rotation mid just yet. And preparing a defense is Wheel's side, as they've TP'd in quite a few different heroes. 2-3-0 build for Rioya, so no point in the Plague Wards just yet to aid in this push. And this is kind of the wave clear I was mentioning in the draft screen, TA. So very efficient as far as wave clear goes. And wisely, Flea going to throw a treant up on the high ground to help enable this push. He's actually going to TP top to look to repel the push being queued up by the Vengeful Spirit. Derp nearby has level 2 cask ready. And they'll throw out some treants to try and get some scouting information here, and that will prompt the retreat. Gale is going to fly out from 747. He gets off the Poison Nova onto 4, but they don't really have much follow-up. Avalanche will connect onto a few, but yeah. We'll just end up dying. Toss going out. And maybe with the poison attack, yeah, Moose should just be dead here. And he does end up dropping. Meanwhile, call down going to be used bottom lane by Yawar. It's just a little bit of trading with the Tidehunter. We talked about kind of what it's like to be up against Tidehunter. And that is pretty much it in a nutshell.
Illusion.
He just stands right in your face. Not going to kill you necessarily, but you can't kill him. And mid lane Wheel finding themselves a good team fight. As 747's dropped 3 times already in this game. Half of the kills that Wheel have been able to net have been on that Venomancer in the mid lane.
What have we here?
Flea 113 level 5 on the Prophet has the phase boots, so the bare necessities are there for the Prophet. He kind of anticipates the magic missile and is going to be able to make it bound. Now the Avatos there from Snake King. Nice swap away from QM, trying to get away from the Tiny. They throw, and nice Sprout is going to be there. They throw the tree. Wave of Terror is going to be there. Toss into the air, though, will sound the death of the Vengeful Spirit. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Yawar in a lot of trouble. So, looks like either side going to trade safe laners here. He'll go for the TPL, and he's not quite tanky enough. As he does end up dropping. If only he could attack through that TP animation. Maybe get a little lifesteal there. 747 mid lane looking to body back VGJ.S. And Snake King working on this wave top lane. One for one build from Snake King. Perhaps just being in the off lane, felt the toss was more valuable. Saw him toss back the Earth Spirit there. And Scan is going to find Stan King in the bottom lane. He gets the Nightmare off onto the Earth Spirit, but should just delay the inevitable here. He'll get the Brain Sap off and, you know, hang around as long as he can. Meanwhile, VGJ.S finds a kill on Ryoya. 747 in the mid lane. Ends up going down. It looks like VGJ.S was able to TP out. So that is a bit of a loss.
What have we here?
And they're going to lose their tier 1, more than likely bottom as well. They do take the tier 1 opposite the map with Snake King and Flea. And we'll start to pressure the tier 2 here, but shouldn't get all that much significant damage done before there's a response mounted here by Wheel. And that will be the response. It'll be the Nox Tidehunter TPing in. Snake King was able to dodge the Anchor Smash. And again, is able to do so. So let's put some damage into this Tidehunter, but will be able to TP out. Now mid lane, Wrath of Nature going to fly through, and they will be able to rotate in there. We get War Gyrocopter. Homing Missile connects onto VGJ.S. Do they have detection, though? They don't at the moment. Cass going to fly over, bounce between these couple of heroes. VGJ.S going to throw out the Meld Strike, get back into the Meld, but doesn't actually pop the Salve. And now with the Venomous Gale, yeah, just going to throw out a right click. Dust's going to fly through from the high ground. Flea is there. And one more tick from the little gun of the gyro. Brings down VGJ's TA. A much needed kill. A 3x kill streak there on the TA. And all that gold going to Yawar. Good amount of experience going the way of that or some of heroes as well. We're going to throw out the Gale mid lane. Does connect onto the Venge. Who's not all that farmed. Well, I suppose, you know, she did spend some time in the bottom lane early on. But yeah, second overall net worth after the death of the TA. And triple stack prepared for the TA here. And with 3 kills in his pocket, Yawar, the most farmed here on the map, has the Mask of Madness to help continue to propel himself forward as far as farm goes. Easy last hit for Snake King. He'll get clipped with the Wave of Terror there mid lane, as most of the Wheel lineup going to convene. VGJ.S working on that triple stack of Ancients. And looking for a Blink Dagger. Smoke up, Snake King, Stan King, the Kings, making their way uphill, but VGJ.S is positioned perfectly at the moment. And they'll pop the drums as the smoke gets popped. They'll drop down a sentry, but they will not find anyone. Thinking to get themselves some vision, though, and they will start to pressure this tower. Snake King having the tree in hand, Flea rotating in, and Ryoya present as well. Tidehunter gonna TP in, and everyone gonna run here. from the VGJ.Storm side. They did not have the gyrocopter, and he is the bulk of their magic damage here early on, at least burst-wise. I mean, you of course have the Poison Nova, but it is a big piece of the puzzle to be missing as far as the VGJ.Storm team fight goes, and he is a massive chunk of their net worth as well. Trying to finish off some of VGJ's ancients here, and seeing him on the high ground. Oh, he may just pay. Wrath of Nature gonna fly through, but it is not gonna help, as this trio of heroes more than enough to kill off the gyrocopter again, though, almost as if they're linked by soul. The Vengeful goes down. In this case, perhaps you could say more worth it for the wheel, as the gyro was worth more, but it also means a tower for VGJ, so that doesn't tip the scales. Soul Ring for the Tidehunter, but beyond the Hood of Defiance, no major teamfight item worked on here. No mech, no blink. But they are setting up bottom lane, as Vengeful going to TP in, roll forward from the Earth Spirit, not going to find much. TP out on the east side, and from Flea, and TP on the west from Stanking. And a successful extraction bottom lane by VGJ's side. After farming up some of those stacks, VGJ on the TA does have the blink and is about a quarter of the way to the Deso. A quarter of the remaining gold, I should say. 3,200.
Regeneration.
Looks like you are. Wanted to get that flak cannon off. That just popped the mask a little early. I don't know. Siege creep mid lane, and Vengeance Aura level 2 here, so VGJ and QM gonna get to work on this tower. Top lane, they do see the Tidehunter. Stand King is nearby with a grip, but they don't have all that much damage in addition. Ryoya, no Poison Nova available. So, tier 1 conceded mid lane. Snaking finds himself a haste. He's gonna be under dire vision, however, as he grabs himself a tree, makes his way towards the tier 2 top. Stanking, trying to make it out, is going to get swapped, magic missiled, and right-clicked. And now TP in from the Tidehunter bottom lane is going to force TP out from Flea. Snaking in trouble, does have the haste. It's just going to toss up the Earth Spirit in the air and get to running. Now Rolling Boulder, perfectly placed by Moose, almost doing his best Flea impression. And they will connect with the magic missile, although not with the Boulder's smash. And Snaking just going to accept his fate in the top lane. So we'll have looked good in this last little bit. And Radiant Vision does give them notice to this Vengeful movement, but not the one underneath. That is Derp's Witch Doctor. A Plague Ward will be there. Do they get off the Poison Nova in time, though? He will. He may just die, however, to this Death Ward. And indeed, 747 perhaps overestimating his potential. As even with the Voodoo Restoration, he will end up killing off the Witch Doctor, but no disable offered from Flea, so really no chance to kill both those heroes. And a lot of physical damage from both the Death Ward as well as you know, the Vengeful Spirits toolkit. First usage of that looked pretty effective. Already level 12, yet to see a Ravage in this one. But that's kind of the way Tidehunters have been played recently. It isn't about completely selling out on the Ravage anymore and having to win those team fights. Hero can scale, can tank, can push waves. You know, if they can force you to initiate on the Tide, then they have that bodes very well for them going forward in the team fight. Flea top lane. You're going to get the Sprout off onto the Vengeful Spirit, but no disable nearby as, you know, Nightmare, not the greatest cast range, and Fiend's Grip similarly just out of range there. So heads up TP out by the Vengeful Spirit, and perhaps a slight bit of anxiousness from Flea's Nature's Prophet. Couple of Ancients taken out here, called down, utilized by Yawar. He's got pretty much the full Manta now. Yeah, he's going to make his way up to the side shop. Secret shop, excuse me. Pick that up. Flea has gone for the Midas, so despite being in the 4 role, you know, he should scale relatively well throughout this game. And, you know, with Snake King being a tiny, having the tree, he should scale pretty well. So we may kind of be looking at a quad core versus a tri-core lineup in this one if 747 continues to keep pace, as he has died quite a few times in this affair. Flea in trouble here, bottom lane, has the phase boots and can try and TP out, but he's going to be Psionic trapped up. He's going to Sprout himself. We'll see if they expend the Ravage here for him, and they won't. Trying to bring the Courier over for, you know, Vision, but again, I'm not sure what... Oh, okay, Plague Ward. 747 taken out top lane. Dragonlance there picked up by QM, so he felt more than statsy enough, tanky enough to pick him out. Nightmare's going to go out and a grip onto the TA. Ravage, though, it's going to cancel that. Almost immediate connects onto 3. They'll bring down the Bane immediately, and 747. And he's not in this fray just yet. Yawar in trouble. Gets brought down. Does bring the TA with him. And Snake King able to blink back to safety. Now a TP in from 747. This could be trouble as a Gale connects onto 3. Snake King. He looks to get back. The cask, though, still bouncing through. And a beautiful boulder smash through 3 by Moose. Now Magic Missile on the low side into Snake King. Shrine popped up by Rioya, but he's left all out on his lonesome. They do end up killing off the Venge with Snake King on the bottom side. Avalanche will be there as well, but this is just going to secure Snake King's death in addition to 747's. And Wheel going to take a decisive win in the bottom lane as, you know, 3 heroes grouping up for Ravage. Never going to be ideal. And the first Ravage of the game is a massive one from O'Nox. Pipe keeping the unit pretty healthy too. They only lose VGJ.S in that engagement. Unable to secure an objective off the back of it, but there really were no trades elsewhere for VGJ.Storm, so we're still very content with how that panned out. Snake King thinking about it, top lane. But perfectly positioned once again. Moose ready to cancel this. And now TP in from Flea. Stand King going to actually maybe catch a glimpse of the Earth Spirit. Instantly silenced and stunned as well. Magic Missile and Boulder Smash coming through. They'll even bring VGJ.S in. Now in trouble is Yawar, excuse me. He's going to Manta off away from the Meld Strike, but does end up dropping. And a couple of costly kills for VGJ, as twice now their attempts at a Fiend's Grip kill have been thwarted, and quickly. Snake King gonna blink down to the south. Moo's unable to initiate. Just a fraction of a second late on the Earth Spirit. Medallion Shadowblade picked up by Flea. He is gonna need to start getting the split pushing going. And Shadowblade should help in that regard. He does have a lot of kind of information available to him. Just throwing these treants around. And, you know, perhaps even more important as a 4-position Nature's Prophet to do this sort of thing with your treants, as you are much more easily killable considering, you know, the lack of farm that you may have relative to a core. So, big win for Wheel. They'll take the Roche and get the denial on the bottom lane. Roche perhaps a little more important, though. Actually, definitely not perhaps. Roche, very important here. Blink Deso available for VGJ.S. They've got, you know, the Tidehunter just kind of throw him on the high ground and dare VGJ.Storm to initiate on the Tide. So, does feel like VGJ, as much as they can, going to try and play tag, so to speak, with Wheel. Make their way around the map, avoid them as much as possible. Split push where they can. And only try and take kind of advantageous fights where vision or high ground position or something is proving to be a major advantage for them. Oh, Nox going to put a stop to the shenanigans in the top lane. GM bottom lane could be in trouble as Flea TP's in, has the Shadow Blade. It is nighttime, and we'll find QM. And this time, nobody to cancel this grip. As, yeah, it will be able to find it onto QM, and it doesn't look like any trades will be able to be found across the map for Wheel. So, for this time, they do get a clean kill with the Fiend's Grip. And taking the Bounty Rune and rolling away will be Moose. So, a really nice kill as far as timing goes for VGJ.Storm, considering that they do have the Aegis for Wheel's side. So to get a kill now is to essentially delay any advantage that... Oh, VGJ.S finds himself a courier. Set of wards on it. And he'll get that kill. Meanwhile, mid lane, Snake King could be in trouble. He's going to get silenced up, and I blink forward onto Stan King. Meldstrike does a lot of work here. Snake King trying to TP out, and he'll be able to do so. So everyone able to extract themselves from mid lane, and split push being queued up top lane as Yawar gonna call down on the creeps, drop his Manta Illusions, and, you know, try and put a little bit of work into this tower, although the wave should be pretty much dead before the siege creep is killed off. Mid lane with the Aegis in hand. VGJ.S gonna get to work. Jump forward, blink, toss back onto the TA. She blinks out though with her last couple refraction charges, and he will even get another refraction off. Now a roll forward though is gonna be away from the Gale, and a 3-man Ravage. It may have even hit 4. And Wheel, they're going to look to run over VGJ.Storm here as Snake King limping back to base. Meldstrike, Maledict will finish him as Derp finds the kill. And VGJ, perhaps the fatigue starting to rear its ugly head for them. Although Flea is pushing in both side lanes, they do finally take out this tier 2. Snake King does have a buyback, will expend it here. They have one on 747, we'll see if he ends up using it just yet. Both side lanes being pushed in by the Nature's Prophet. They will use the 747 buyback, and Homing Missile going to fly out. Does connect. Avalanche will be on to 3. The Flak doing work as well. They try and toss back QM into the base, but Snake King, he's too far forward. He essentially feeds. Now Yawar may be in trouble. Poison Nova does connect onto 3, though. QM trying to TP out. They'll grip him from the high ground. And they will get the Vengeful Spirit. Now we're looking to chase 4 more. VGJ.S does still have the Aegis. Manta is going to dodge the Meldstrike for Yawar. He can't really turn and fight, but will throw the Homing Missile out. Psionic Trap will be there, and Homing Missile does connect onto the TA. Sprout will keep her in place. Now she's forced down to the low ground, perhaps by accident, and could be in trouble trading with Stan King. Will just kill off the Bane, though, and still there is an Aegis on this TA. She will finally lose the Aegis. Derp does go down in the meantime. And Yawar able to TP away. Ryoya survived as well. So Treants do about, 80% damage on the top tower, and that's about it. However, it is Aegis expended, and no racks taken by Wheel. There were 2 buybacks utilized, however, by the Radiant side. So it is going to be 747's Veno as well as Snake King's Tiny buying back for that. Nonetheless, VGJ certainly showing signs of life. And Flea showing that, with, 4,300 gold now, he can certainly be a bit of a threat if the lanes aren't pushed out properly. And not too many heroes to push the lanes out for Wheel. Just really the TA. The Tide can do it, but rather slowly. No Maelstrom being queued up. Looks like Silver Edge or QM. Apologies, had to clear my throat there for a sec. Snake King looking to work on an AC is going to pick himself up a double damage rune. 747's got the Force Kaya Veil, so the necessities are present. BKB now picked up 10 seconds for Yawar. Could be a big power spike in his team fight ability, and seems that VGJ.Storm going to look to make an impact here. They get the homing missile off. Ava will not be there as the Force Staff back onto the Tide, but he will be tossed up. Call down's going to be there. BKB pop by Yawar. Snaking, though, taking a lot of damage. Big silence coming through from Moose. Wrath of Nature, though, is going to do a lot of damage through almost the entire unit, and Fiend's Grip pretty much going to do nothing to the TA who was BKB'd up. Meanwhile, on the north side, they will find out Flea's Nature's Prophet, and it looks like they should just leave him for dead as the rest of VGJ.Storm teeping out in horror, watching their poor Nature's Prophet be spilled, his blood be spilled. But they do use the 10-second BKB there and don't even force a Ravage. Like, very economic play from Onox, who withholds the Ravage there, seeing that the Gyrocopter had the BKB up, and it is a 10-second BKB for a 0-for-1 trade, essentially, for VGJ.Storm. And perhaps, you know, best that they don't take fights in these side lanes, such that they don't really have a contingency plan with the Prophet pushing. Saw kind of awkwardly Flea hanging around on the Nature's Prophet here, and eventually found out and picked off. VGJ.S has a Lincoln's, so can't see him get gripped up that easily. Flea does have the Maelstrom, but bot lane, he's in trouble. Oh, nice dodge, however, with the Shadow Blade. Good reaction from Flea. And Onox going to sarcastically spam well played as his teammates. They, in fact, even had a gem here on the Earth Spirit who didn't roll forward. And that's why you see the whoops. Oh, now they'll find Flea, though, with the Boulder Smash. Yeah, but that's why you saw the whoops in the chat, because the Earth Spirit chose not to roll despite having a gem. Either way, they'll get their man. And Flea, not an inconsequential kill at this point. I mean, he's third in net worth coming out of the 4 position. So, you know, Maelstrom and Midas will certainly see to that. And also the multitude of deaths that 747 has conceded. He's kind of relegated himself to a support role in some respects. I mean, still hanging around with the Tide and Venge as far as net worth goes. You are going to shove in top lane and throw some Manta Illusions at this tower, and this can be whittled to death, you know, if they don't respond to it. VGJ.S, he'll be the first one in base. 2 siege creeps here. We'll see if they can get this tier 3. There is a glyph, and it looks like VGJ.S should make pretty quick work of this. Yeah, not going to deny the first tier 3 of the game, surely, so that'll sit at 62 HP, but, you know, Flea working on bottom as well, slowly but surely, trying to take out these tier 3s. Unfortunately, well, they do have a Psionic Trap. I was going to say for the dire side, they may not see this Roche spawn. But they've got a trap in here. It's still about 1 minute and 20 until that Roche spawns, unbeknownst to the teams. Snaking now well on the way to the Ags, about 1,800 gold away. Has 400 towards that. As top lane, QM going to combo up with VGJ.S to take out the long overdue tier 1, and working on the tier 2 now, and certainly without high ground advantage, VGJ.Storm having none of these potential engagements. Flea gonna push in bottom lane, and it looks like they're kind of setting up behind Flea, looking to bait this Prophet. Snaking and Yawar nearby, but just trying to find maybe safe farm on the map, and we'll TP back as soon as there is need for it. Flea again going to begin to chip away. at the tower. But Moose will be more than happy to clean up those tree ants, get himself a bit of gold. Working on a butterfly Iwar is, and makes a lot of sense in this one. A lot of physical damage coming out from the dire side. Increasing his effective HP by quite a bit. Top lane. Tidehunter going to TP in, but me on the south side. Stand King just going to be found out as a present. Or the wheel side. Effectively, those tanking kind of the gank for Iwar and Snake King. So really not the biggest loss. As Flea makes his way down the bottom lane. Second Rosh of the game going to be taken by Wheel. And VGJ.S going to pick up the Aegis there. She's in the hands of the Vengeful Spirit. So two already pretty difficult to kill cores. Going to get more so. Hard to kill. Mjolnir completed up here by Flea. But he could be a bit vulnerable. And 747 hanging around in this bottom lane as well. Does have the boots of travel. UM under the cover of Shadowblade mid lane, but does not engage forward. Okay, Sonic Trap out onto Snake King. He's going to go for the immediate TP out, and it ends up being a wise decision. Of course, Sonic Trap's now doing damage, canceling the blink there, so Snake King with a very heads-up play. Flea going to make his way down south with a Shadow Blade. Almost thinks about right-clicking this creep, and just to the south of him was QM. So bit of fortune, bit of good game sense from Flea. Not sure which of it was, but he's actually just in between the trees. QM forces here. Had he forced slightly towards this Psionic Trap, he would have discovered himself, Nature's Prophet, but Flea does end up surviving. Well, I say that, and I take it back. Desperately trying to drag this game out as Flea, and he's done a pretty admirable job to this point, but only a matter of time where a lineup containing Shadow Blades, Earth Spirits, Blinks will get after you.
No, take that. Stonefall.
Alright, bot lane pushed in. Arcane Rune here for Snake King. And yeah, he can get to work as far as split push goes, but he is going to back. Flea is going to buy back. Oh, the swap in. Can they burst him down before the Poison Nova gets off? Ghost Scepter is going to be there. Magnetize and Wave of Terror finishing off 747. He still has his ultimate. Now trying to get out is the entire lineup of Wheel. They will be able to TP one away, but the Tidehunter probably not so lucky. Homing Missile will follow him. Snake King in trouble, though. He's going to end up dropping 76 seconds on the sidelines, and the Tidehunter still alive. 747 going to connect with a Gale onto a few different heroes. We'll throw down some Plague Wards. Homing Missile going to fly out. Poison Nova only connecting onto QM. And not sure that they really want to pursue forward here. Why just ready and waiting in the wings, and he's going to find himself Flea. That is a dieback for Francis Lee, and it looks like we may be going to a Game 3 here, folks, with two heroes on the sidelines. No buyback. Swap down is going to find 747. He's going to get the Ghost Scepter off. Nightmare will be there. Call down connects on the back lines, but 747 should just die off here, as should VGJ's hopes of winning this Game 2. And Wheel showing some definite resiliency as they're able to trade games with VGJ.Storm. That was VGJ's 7th game of the day as far as Pro Dota goes. Just very active recently with all the qualifiers going on, and perhaps a bit of fatigue showing here. 747 certainly did not have the game we expect of him, out of the mid lane, especially in a matchup like TA versus Venomancer. And he ends up 6-10-5. On the flip side of the coin, VGJ.S 10-3-12 on the TA, and in excess of 700 GP and XPM. So game 2 going to go the way of Wheel, and we will have a deciding game 3 in this one, folks. Both series today going to 3 games. Hope you guys have enjoyed your Saturday so far. We'll be back with game 3 shortly. MRP BTS VGJ versus Wheel.